Millions of dollars evaporate from household net worth every decade, but the loss is rarely a sudden event. It happens right in the driveway, while most people are busy monitoring their grocery receipts. Popular financial advice focuses on skipping small daily treats, like a $5 coffee. However, focusing on minor habits ignores the structural deficits that consume thousands of dollars every month and prevent genuine wealth accumulation. This chart displays the 5 core categories that dominate the average household budget: housing, transportation, taxes, food, and utilities. While housing is an essential fixed necessity, transportation exhibits the widest variance from person to person, making it the most volatile category. Society heavily links personal success and social standing to the vehicle someone drives. This social pressure creates a psychological mechanism influencing how much an individual is willing to spend. These cultural expectations push millions of people to purchase vehicles that their monthly cash flow cannot safely absorb. Achieving long-term financial independence is impossible without first identifying and auditing this massive, culturally accepted leak in household income. The single heaviest expense of car ownership is depreciation, an asset loss that remains invisible to those who only track monthly payments. Unlike real estate or stock portfolios, which are expected to appreciate over time, consumer vehicles are depreciating assets. This graph shows the mathematical inversion of wealth that occurs when capital is tied up in a car. Purchasing a brand new vehicle triggers a 10 to 15% loss in market value the moment the car leaves the dealership lot. This value erosion continues rapidly as time and mileage accumulate, meaning 99% of consumer vehicles act as mechanisms for wealth destruction. This creates an opportunity cost black hole. Capital that could be generating compound growth is instead being vaporized through the loss of asset value. Households may feel secure seeing the value of their home rise, but that security is often undermined by the rapid eradication of liquid capital sitting in their driveway. The modern automotive market is currently in a state of crisis. A staggering percentage of new vehicle buyers now commit to monthly payments exceeding $1,000. This stacked bar chart shows how dealer markups and rising interest rates inflate the total cost. When combined, the average yearly cost of owning and operating a single vehicle now exceeds $10,000. Every vehicle also carries non-negotiable recurring costs: yearly taxes, registration fees, and mandatory inspection costs. For households managing 2 or 3 vehicles, these mandatory administrative costs accumulate rapidly, creating a massive annual burden. For the middle-aged earners of the sandwich generation, this overhead acts as an invisible anchor while they struggle to manage generational debt and family obligations. These compounding fixed costs lock households into a cycle of permanent debt maintenance for an asset that serves only a basic utility function. It is a mistake to think this drain only affects luxury car buyers. The data reveals the crisis reaches into the most conservative segments of the market. Consider an economical, reliable choice: a 5-year-old used Honda Civic. Even with a sensible car, the true cost of ownership over 5 years approaches $44,000. This chart shows how that total compares to average national household salaries. Over a 5-year period, this averages out to nearly $9,000 of annual cash drain. This expenditure swallows 16% or more of the gross income for an average earner. This percentage drain can easily negate the perceived wealth gains from other assets, such as rising home values. This creates a phenomenon of phantom wealth, where a person's net worth looks healthy on paper, but their actual financial mobility is paralyzed by a lack of liquidity. Understanding the stock market is functionally useless if your monthly cash flow is trapped in an auto loan. Modern auto financing has become increasingly dangerous, often relying on small down payments and loan terms stretching across 5 to 7 years. This amortization schedule for a 7-year loan shows how high interest rates consume the majority of your monthly payments in the first 3 years before you even begin to touch the principal. These interest payments represent pure economic loss for the consumer. This structure acts as an efficient wealth transfer, moving capital directly from the working car buyer to lending institutions. This systemic transfer breaks the power of compound interest for the average earner, making long-term investing practically impossible regardless of their financial knowledge. The data shows that transportation, when improperly managed, becomes the primary barrier to long-term financial independence. To stop this drain, we look at the depreciation curve. The first strategy is purchasing vehicles in the 3 to 5 year range. Buying now allows you to acquire a reliable vehicle after the previous owner has absorbed the most catastrophic drop in value. The second strategy is the ruthless elimination of unnecessary second or third household vehicles. Cutting an unneeded vehicle drastically lowers mandatory annual costs and immediately frees up liquid cash flow. Finally, one must avoid high-interest, long-term financing entirely. This is the only mathematical way to prevent the transfer of your wealth to lending institutions. Genuine financial optimization is not found in skipping small daily treats. It requires rigorously auditing household income and plugging the silent. When calculating the cost of a car, most buyers look primarily at the purchase price or the monthly loan payment. But treating that single number as your entire transportation budget is a basic mathematical error. This animated ledger breaks down the actual yearly cost of vehicle ownership. By factoring in all variables, the average annual expense easily approaches $10,000. That number is so high because the car payment is only a fraction of the total equation. The rest consists of continuous, fluctuating operating expenses. These recurring costs create a phantom liability cycle. You own an asset that is rapidly depreciating in value, while it simultaneously demands a heavy, continuous outflow of cash just to keep it running. The true financial weight of this cycle is heavily abstracted from the consumer. Paying for gas at the pump, paying for insurance online, and repairs at the mechanic, obscuring the total cumulative drag on your budget. By auditing and dismantling these mechanical and logistical costs, a household can restructure its financial position. Failing to calculate the comprehensive operational cost of your transportation locks you into a perpetual state of financial drain, limiting your capacity to accumulate wealth. The most consistent and immediate continuous operational drag on any household budget is fuel consumption. Consider the mathematical baseline of a standard commuter driving 15,000 miles per year. Even with a relatively efficient vehicle, that baseline mileage routinely requires an annual expenditure exceeding $2,000 on gasoline alone. This cumulative bar chart isolates that specific fuel expenditure. Projected over a standard 5-year ownership horizon, the sunk cost exceeds $12,000. For internal combustion vehicles, this expense cannot be entirely eliminated. However, you can always mitigate the damage. Tactics like securing a wholesale club gas membership and optimizing daily driving efficiency consistently reclaim hundreds of dollars annually. The second major operational drain is car insurance, a recurring fee that frequently adds well over $100 per month to ownership costs. This logic flowchart illustrates passive renewal. Insurance providers operate in a hyper-competitive market, but actively penalize inactive consumers. By allowing a policy to auto-renew without checking the market, long-term policyholders get routed into a higher premium bracket. The countermeasure is instituting a strict calendar-marked annual policy audit. By dedicating a specific date each year to compare quotes across multiple providers, you can leverage their competitive offers against them to lower premiums or renegotiate existing rates. This exact negotiation framework applies identically to your other recurring household utilities. Unchecked passive expenses, whether burning at the pump or siphoned through algorithmic policy renewals, silently cannibalize capital that you could otherwise deploy into the market. The third major operational variable where vehicle owners hemorrhage capital is maintenance and mechanical repair. Basic vehicle upkeep is often viewed as highly technical, but procedures like oil changes and filter replacements are straightforward tasks. The availability of step-by-step instructional guides eliminates the need for prior specialized knowledge to perform them. Performing routine oil changes independently immediately saves over $100 per service by eliminating outsourced labor costs. This timeline projection maps out multiplying a single $100 labor saving across a 50-year interval of routine maintenance. Over a lifetime of driving, taking control of these basic mechanical procedures reclaims upwards of $20,000 in direct labor fees. Of course, not all maintenance is routine. Unpredictable electronic diagnostic alerts, like the check engine light, present another financial trap. When these trigger, utilizing free diagnostic scanning services at local auto parts retailers prevents exorbitant dealership fees for minor issues, such as a loose gas cap. All of these mechanical costs are heavily dictated by an underlying spatial multiplier, your commuting distance. This phenomenon is commute amplification. Extended daily driving acts as a direct force multiplier on the physical decay of the vehicle. A longer physical gap between home and work guarantees accelerated fuel consumption, rapid physical depreciation, and increased repair frequency. Many people accept longer commutes to secure a residence with lower paper rents or cheaper housing costs, assuming this improves their monthly budget. But relocating closer to a workplace often generates net financial savings. Slightly higher housing costs are eclipsed by the elimination of amplified fuel spending, frequent maintenance, and lost time. The final metric in the car ownership equation is the calculation of how that money would behave if used elsewhere. This is opportunity cost, the specific financial loss incurred when capital is committed to one use at the expense of another. Every dollar sunk into vehicle depreciation, loan interest, high insurance premiums, and excessive fuel is permanently dead capital. Once that money leaves your account to fund a liability, it loses its capacity to generate compound interest in wealth-building assets. This comparative market growth chart shows the alternative scenario. Line A shows the flat-lined reality of a $10,000 annual car cost. Line B shows what happens when that exact same capital is reallocated. If you redirect those recovered funds into broad market index funds or solid growth equities, the financial mechanics completely reverse. Over a long-term investment horizon, the interest generates its own interest, and the principal compounds significantly. You stop servicing the linear, perpetual drain of an automotive liability and start harnessing the exponential momentum of an investment asset. Acting upon this opportunity cost creates a shift from funding perpetual depreciating liabilities to executing exponential net worth growth. To optimize your transportation costs and accelerate wealth accumulation, implement this 4-part operational protocol. Principle 1. Target the depreciation sweet spot. This requires purchasing reliable 3 to 5-year-old used vehicles. By bypassing brand new inventory, you completely avoid the steepest cliff of asset depreciation. Principle 2. Institute a mandatory operational habit to shop around for competitive insurance coverage every single year, breaking the passive renewal cycle. Principle 3. Conduct a household logistical audit to consolidate your transportation needs. The primary objective of this consolidation is the total elimination of superfluous vehicles from your household ledger. Principle 4. Minimize unnecessary commuting distance to instantly eliminate the commute amplification drag on your budget and your vehicle's lifespan. Ruthlessly execute these 4 principles to strip operational liabilities from your driveway. Then inject the resulting capital directly into compounding, income-generating assets.